Hello, welcome back to Mining Network. We're joined again with Glenn Jessome, the CEO of Silver Tiger Metals, and we're not here to talk so much about Silver Tiger Metals, but more around what's happening in Mexico. We last spoke to Glenn at the end of November via a webinar. Within that webinar, Glenn, you were mentioning that you're expecting to see some permits in Mexico that would trigger a re-rating within the mining sector and the silver sector in the country. It's starting to happen, isn't it?
Starting to happen, Peter, and thank you for having me on for a quick update here. Uh, we always thought that end of year into the new year, we're now just into the new year, things would start to move, as we like to say, and that's happened. I think one thing that was very interesting that didn't get a lot of press, but Claudia Sheinbaum, who we think is a wonderful president in Mexico, and we think is going to transform Mexico economically. Came out and made a big speech called Mexico 2030. And why that is that's her 6-year term. Uh, uh, it was an incredibly powerful speech. And it led off with the following. She wants to transform Mexico into a top 10 economy in the world. In order to do that, she is going to be open to vast amounts of foreign investment. We're foreign investors. That made us happy. And in particular, a part of her speech and a part of Mexico Plan 2030 is a whole section on growing the mining industry and facilitating that growth through foreign investment. So we were very excited about that. Very interesting, and I don't like to say I was kind of predicting the future, but even before she came into power, as it was clear she was going to win and transition from the AMLO administration, I know it was on some of your interviews, but I said she's such a brilliant person, and I think she's going to be a great business manager for Mexico. And I actually said in many interviews, I think her goal will be to transform Mexico into a top 10 world economy. And I had a little smile on my face when I heard that speech this month. But let's talk about specifics. Things have started to happen about 10 days ago, and how we predicted it as a group. And I messaged that to many of your readers and listeners and others is I thought it would be a phased approach when it started. There would be existing mines that would get what we call amendments, okay, or modifications to their current permits. That would be the first step. Then I always thought there would be underground permits granted, and then followed by open pit. And the only change I think I would say to that, as I tell you about the specifics, is that I think that open pit now and underground will come pretty well simultaneously. That's what I think will happen. So really over the last 10 days, we've seen Grupo Mexico, the big copper producer, massive company in Mexico, Mexican company, get 4 amendments or modifications to their permits. They don't usually press release that, but that news does get out in Mexico. So that's something that many would not have heard about. Very, very positive. Another company, almost more along the lines of about the same time, had acquired some more concessions. They had an operating mine basically next door to it, and they got an amendment to continue to mine into the new concession, and of course, use the same processing facilities. So very positive, and that was a foreign company. But the news today that's very exciting is the Alamos news. The Mulatos district is a massive district. It's only a couple hundred kilometers south of where El Tigre is. And that had been a very, one of the largest open pit facilities and really coming to the end of its open pit life, heap leach only. For the PDA, that's the initials of the part of that project today, which received, and it's an argument. Is it an amendment or is it a new permit? It doesn't matter what it's called. It's a permit for them to now mine underground at PDA, which is part of the Mulatos district, 2,000 ton per day, and to build a new mill. There's not a mill there on that site. That's a 200 million US capex approximately. So very exciting. Big Canadian company gets this kind of news. We'll still put it in the amending modification to an existing mining jurisdiction, but very exciting. So we think there'll be more of these, and then you're going to see the underground and open pit come. So, very, very exciting news. And I'm speaking in general. This is for mining in Mexico. This is for all of the companies there. This is the sentiment change we've been waiting for, and I think you're going to see an improvement in these areas. And people are not listening here because they're interested in what is the status of Mexico. I'm guessing they're looking for investment opportunities. We think, and if you look now and you see all the smart people in Toronto and New York, and you look at what they've written since this morning, this is the analysts, and putting it out is, this is what everybody's been waiting for. It's starting. It's not a wave or a tidal wave yet. It's a ripple, but it's really going to start. And as an example, and I do want to use El Tigre as an example. I have to be a little self-serving here. What people don't understand is that these permits come and you build these mines. Most silver projects in Mexico are trading in production. You know who they are, at 1 times NPV. As Tiger as an example, we're trading at $100 million market cap today. That's what we're trading at Canadian. Okay. If we get our permit just for the pit and we build the pit, and at spot prices today, that's a 500 million NPV. So, that's the type of quantum of trade that's available here from those companies that get permits and build their mine. And I'm not the only one. So I use mine as an example. It's an alpha return, and I think you're going to see a lot of a lot of money and capital start to flow back into Mexico as it starts to basically open up again.
No, agreed. Look, I think you said something spot on there in terms of sentiment change. I think some viewers are obviously looking for investment opportunities on the channel, but I think others as well would have heard the AMLO speeches and the AMLO announcements and really being worried about investing in Mexico. I think you're now starting to see some shift in the right direction there. Obviously, you've done the Silver Tiger analogy. There are a lot of other companies in Mexico
Absolutely.
in a very similar position to you at the moment. You've got Discovery Silver, Heliostar. There's countless. There's not countless, but there's a fair amount of them.
Gold,
Yep.
Prime Mining are a little further down or further away from production, but all these companies are going to get really a boost from this.
Yeah, I'd agree that should be the case, although we're not sharing any investment advice there, just an opinion. But in terms of your permit, and because I think from memory when we've discussed in the past, your permit is in a way a bit of an amendment permit, is it not?
Well, what's very interesting, let's talk about that, because I just was talking to one of our large shareholders, giving them an update. We're having a lot of incoming calls today, and I kind of did this analogy. Let's use Mulattoes as an example. They were, and this permit issued for PDA, which is the part of the project, the underground. They're a reverse of what Tiger is. They had a heap leach, which they mined for decades, and now they're getting to the point where saying, okay, that's all done. Now this is our all epithermal deposit. We've talked about this so much. Get the heap leach, then go underground. So they've basically amended what they have to a degree to now get the permit to build the mill to go underground. I'm the other way. I have the permit for the underground and can do that as of right, but I want the amendment the other way, because the way that Alamos did it is the right way. It's the way we've been doing it for almost 30 years in Mexico. Pit, easier, lower capex, big cash flow, then you go underground. I just happen to have the underground and need the amendment for the pit. So yes, very similar in a reverse way.
Okay, good. Look, what are you looking out for over the next couple of weeks? I'm assuming I'm assuming now that the ball's rolling, it will continue to. Is that the way that you're looking at it?
Yeah, I think what's very interesting and is that the amount of dialogue between the miners, and I'll use us as in particular, and the authorities that need to move your permit forward, be it economy, be it mining, be it Semernet or environment. So we're really seeing a lot of activity on that front, and we're just looking for those next permits. I do think that, and I'm just guessing at this point, but logically we've come to the point where we said how it would happen. I think there's probably some more modification permits to come, or amending permits. There are a lot of big mines in Mexico that need those, and so I think those will just keep regularly coming. Some we may not even hear about. Just remember the big Mexican companies like a Grupo. they wouldn't even press release this. So you get that through the grapevine. As I get some of this, I always share that. It's just it's just a talk in Mexico. But you're going to see, I think, some of the Canadian or American companies get their amendments. They're going to press release it like Alamos did. And then we're going to get that holy grail. That's maybe not the right word, but that first full new permit is going to get issued, underground and or open pit, and that's really what we're looking for. And we think it's close.
Good. All right, Glenn. Look, I think you might be right. Let's get you back on the channel when we see some more permits. Hopefully, one of them might be for El Tiger.
Well, we're pretty comfortable and confident, and we can't wait. Thank you.